What's going on, everyone? It's Garrett, and today I'm bringing you guys a tutorial talking about a really awesome Call of Duty World War II themed header for Twitter. Now, you guys can do this for YouTube, you guys can do this for Facebook. It doesn't really matter the social media you're going to be using it for. However, you just need to mess around with dimension size and stuff like that. But before this video even goes on, I do want to say two things. That one, if a video does reach 100 likes, I'm going to be giving out the link to download this for free. You guys can also purchase it in the description on my Sellfy for $1. And the third way to get this link is I have a Discord chat that everyone can join. It's basically made for designers just to talk to people. You guys can communicate, maybe hit up each other for Steam games. You guys can hang out and stuff like that. So there's going to be a link in the description for my Discord chat. You guys can join. And every time a few 10 people, 100 people join, I'm going to be dropping just a random download link to this, to other things that I've been, putting on my store and whatever else. But that's basically all the promotions I have for the beginning of the video. I do want to get right into this. It's not going to take any time at all. There's going to be a few things that you're going to need. Google is going to be one of them. We're going to be finding a bunch of stocks to recreate the World War II text. And then also just any kind of graphics pack that you can find that has these particles. Everything else we're basically making on our own, and I'm going to be going over, very easy special effects inside Photoshop that you can basically use in any other type of banner. So like you see on the screen right now, this is what I made, and this is what you're going to be getting in that template if you download it for 100 likes, if you guys can purchase it, whatever, however you can get it. We're going to be making the same exact thing. And the first thing you want to do is actually go to Photoshop and just go to File, New, and then just open up a new document for 1500 by 500. And this is the Twitter size. If you want to use something else like Facebook, you need to go into Google and type in Facebook cover photo size or YouTube banner size just to kind of get a different conversion. After that, click Create, and then hit Control-I on your keyboard to work off the black background. So it doesn't really matter how much zoomed in you're in for working with this. You just want to have enough of space around each thing so you guys feel comfortable. And we're going to start working inside the middle of the image just so we can start creating the whole entire piece around it. So starting off, we're going to need an image to use. Personally, I'm going to be using this image. I thought that it was kind of the perfect fit. If you guys go to Google and type in Call of Duty World War II and put the image size to large, you guys can basically find anything you want. I would recommend finding something that doesn't have anything on top of it. For example, the zombies picture, would work as well. This would be great. So once you find something you want to use, basically keep that. And the reason why I have this one and this one chosen is because this is more focused on the guy himself right away, and this is more focused on the background and the whole entire thing surrounding him. This is just something that you want to take into consideration because you're going to want to steal, parts of the background and so forth. So just find it, right click copy, hit Control V inside the document to paste it, and then hit Control T on your keyboard, and then you're just going to want to scale it just enough that it's this clean image inside. So you want to center it, and it might not center perfectly because the image might be a little bit off center, so you can just move it around to what you feel is comfortable. And now you want to go back into Google. I'm going to grab the other side of this so it has the longer sides. I'm going to paste this in behind that first layer. I'm going to shrink it just a little bit, and then I'm going to click the first one again, hit U on my keyboard, or excuse me, E on my keyboard, and just erase the sides and erase the guy's shoulder into the dark. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate that second layer, edit, transform, and flip horizontally, put that on the right side corner, click the first layer again, and then just erase that side. And then we can, of course, go through here and just erase the guy in the background right there. So now that we have our basic image in the front right here, it didn't take long at all. All you want to do is click the first image, hold shift, click the last one, and then merge it together. And now we're going to just add, different effects onto this so we can make everything blend in a little bit better. So duplicate it, go to adjustments, and go to exposure, and bring it to the right a little bit, and then bring your gamma correction to the right as well. And hit U on your keyboard, excuse me, E on your keyboard, and click once in the face, just enough that the highlights don't overcome everything. Hit Control E, duplicating that and merging it one more time, and just hit Control J to duplicate it again. Go to brightness and contrast, and you're gonna want to lower the brightness and up the contrast, and then you're gonna erase just the guy's head, and then you want to just erase, like 3 or 4 little clicks around him. So now that we have that, we're going to basically start working on more things inside of this. Now, what I did personally on my own version of this, I went inside of this and took out shadows. So what I did is I made a new layer, and then I hit Alt on my keyboard, and then I made a clipping mask onto the background image. And then I took my pen tool, and I basically just pen tooled around where I saw that the shadows were coming from. So you can see from the hand onto the face, there's just going to be this big shadow. And the reason why I'm just making this is because I want to really bring out those darkness colors. So once you just basically create your shape and fill it with a color, you can put it onto an overlay, bring your size down for your eraser, and just zoom in and just really get rid of all those hard edges first, and then zoom out, and then you can make your erasers a little bit bigger, and just basically click around it, and then you can hide it. Of course, I'm going to click once in the nose so you can see that the shadows come out just a little bit more. Just go below that and click again, making a new layer, and you want to do the same thing for, let's just say, like right here. And like I said, the reason behind this is because we want to make it more of like a dramatic scene, that the shadows are a lot more, you know, in your face. And you don't have to be perfect with this at all. You can be very sloppy making these because you won't see it after you blend it and stuff. So you can see I just clicked that 4 or 5 times. I can go back and unhide it, and you can see that the shadows are very there. I'm going to do my last one, which is going to be from the helmet onto the face. So same thing, very easy, very sloppy. The only thing you want to be somewhat clean about is around like the helmet or around like fingertips, just because that might be the more noticeable out of anything, but even so, you don't have to worry about it too much. So here we go. So we got the 3 shadows that we wanted to add. I'm gonna just click behind the eyes real quick so the eyes are a little bit brighter than everything else, and then around the eye sockets are a little bit darker. So once we have that, we can just keep it the same. We can just maybe label this shadows, just because we want to start labeling our layers. And doing this really helps with keeping everything organized. You know, I don't do it sometimes, and then I got to go back and have to edit, you know, a little bit of a clip, and it takes me forever to find out what I'm doing. So just a very big tip is just keep going back and doing that. So the next thing I'm going to do is make a new layer, and then click right here on this black and white squares on top of each other to make your primary and secondary colors black and white. Go to filter, go to render, and go to clouds, and then you're just going to keep these black and white clouds, and go to filter and go to overlay, and then you're going to take your eraser on a bigger size, of course keeping your hardness on 0, and you're going to want to erase around everything except for the bottom and around his shoulders, so that things just look a little bit better, and you can label that clouds. So now that we have that, the fun part starts to come. So I'm going to do really quickly is I'm just going to reopen this so I can look at it for references, and I can talk about it a little bit more of what we're doing. So the reason behind doing all this kind of shadow work and stuff like that is so you can see, you know, the shadows are a little bit more in depth. But what you want to work on next is going to be this text. So right here I have the Call of Duty World War II text. If you want to just use that, all you have to do is go onto Google and type in Call of Duty World War II logo PNG, and you're basically going to find it. So it's the first link that pops up. You can use this. I'm using it as a reference. So what you can do is you can drag it in to your document you're working on. So you can center this so you can basically see how it's going to look. You know, if you want to make like a promo header, this is exactly what you want to do. However, I think that we're a little bit more advanced than that, and I'm going to create my own text version of this. So in the download links you're going to get, everything's going to be done for you. You know, you're going to have the layer styles already created. However, I'm going to be going through it right now in the tutorial. So what you're going to need is the Call of Duty font. Of course, you can just type in Call of Duty font onto Google. It's typically the first one that pops up. This is called Call of Ops Duty. Sounds a little weird, but that's basically all you need, and you're gonna put basically whatever you want. I'm gonna put your text or your name, and then you're gonna click right here on this little document. You're gonna make the size spacing to 0, and you're just gonna center this right there. So what you can do is just basically highlight it all and just click your little color changing tool up here and just click it on the brightest color you can see. Typically it's going to be a white, but you know, you can make it a little bit of an off-white to a gray. Hit OK, and then you're basically going to now want to start adding layer styles on top of it to kind of recreate this. So I went ahead and found out the best ones I could. All you want to do is type in brushed scratch metal and hit images, and you're going to be able to go through here and basically find the best one that can fit you. You know, something like this could really work. All you have to do is copy it, paste it in, and then hold Alt and put it onto a clipping mask of the text. And then you can take your eraser and just click like once or twice on it. Alright, now that you have that, maybe you want to take away just a part of the middle. Once you have that, you can go back up here and you can put dirty metal, and then you can just basically find another one to use. So you want to just take your time finding these. I personally took about 30 minutes finding textures to use. I looked in packs that I have. I looked in just like everything I could just to find something. And when you find stuff that has like a dirty rust color to it, if you paste it in and put it as a clipping mask, go to images, black and white, and you're basically going to be able to do that. You can also go to brightness and make the brightness a lot more to kind of make that color seep through. So now that you have that, you want to create kind of more of a thickness onto it. So go to blending options. You're going to want to go to inner shadow, and you want to go to a white color and put it to 100% on normal. And for size, I would typically recommend using probably 1. And then you can go back and lower the opacity just a little bit. Of course, adding a drop shadow, probably around a 50 to 70% of a drop shadow with a spread of 8 and a size of like 16 or maybe a little bit more, just to make it a little bit darker, just like that. So we can have text like this. If you want to just add more stuff onto it to kind of create that more of a dark kind of grunge effect, all you have to do is type in grunge dirt, and you can grab like this one, paste it in, of course, under your clipping masks, and then you can just erase around it, and then you're going to have that part of the text. The next is going to be the World War II text. It's not going to be as difficult, but it's going to be just the same thing really. So all you have to do is type in whatever you want to label it, whether it's going to be like your secondary text or it's going to be your first text. So I'm going to label this just your name and then tagline here. Now you can make it a little bit smaller and center it as well so we can work with it here. I wouldn't recommend putting a bunch of text on this one. Of course, this is more text than your name, but I wouldn't make it a little bit bigger. I would just keep it, you know, relatively small compared to your name, since this is the secondary thing. We can drag that World War II up in here and we can zoom in to now work on it. Highlight it again and just click a kind of yellow color you see that you want to use, and then just make it a little bit brighter, just because a little bit more of a saturation helps bring things out. Next thing you want to do is just duplicate these 3 layers that you put onto your name, hitting Ctrl J, dragging onto tagline here, and then to add these onto your tagline here text, click the first one and hold Alt and put the clipping mask, and then drag the rest under it. Now that this is on, you want to put everything onto overlay, so just click on them and then put it to overlay, and it's going to change the colors a little bit. So of course you can just take it, grab your eraser, and then we're going to do like little like swirls, like little figure 8s throughout it, just like that. Alright, and now that we have that, we're going to go back and find more textures to use. So I like using that scratch metal texture for this, so I'm just going to type in scratch metal. I just think that it matches the whole entire style a little bit better. So now that we have that, we can add it onto it. We can make it a little bit smaller if we want, so that the scratches are a little bit more defined. Just like that. Of course, going to images, black and white. And then you can click right here on the normal and then hit right on your keyboard a bunch of times until you find kind of a good setting that really matches that vibe that you want to use. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. You can do is basically put that on overlay and then take your eraser and click, big click right in the middle right here. Just like that. And now the next thing you want to do is start adding more textures around it. So you can click on it right here and go to blending options and put a drop shadow. Same amount of drop shadow. For inner shadow, you want to do is grab basically your color and then use like a brighter version of it to make that little pop out more. You can also highlight your text and then grab, you know, a darker, grungier version of it if you really want. It really depends on, you know, what you're feeling with this. So we can put that right there. I'm gonna take that brush metal, I'm just gonna erase just a little bit of it, just so it's not too overwhelming. And now that we have that, we can basically take this Call of Duty World War II and delete it. We don't need it anymore. And we're gonna group your name and the tagline here together. So this, we're gonna label this just text. Hit Control T, and you're gonna see these big transformation tools. So you want to do is open up this tool, click your name, and hold Control and click tagline here. Hit Control T, and just center these together, just like that. So now those are centered. The drop shadows are perfectly fine. If you want to add more of a drop shadow, you want to right click on the group text and then add a drop shadow to that, so that it's not as much. And then you can take the spread down, opacity down as well, so you really have this. So now that we have that done, you can really add your social media now. So you can basically go to File, Open, and then open up your social media icons you want to use. For example, I'm using a Twitter logo and a photo or a YouTube logo. You can use basically anything you want. All you have to do is find them on Google and basically download them, and then just open up them into your folder. Of course, drag them into your document, and then you're going to want to size them relatively small, but at first you want to keep them just a decent size just so you can work with them. So what I'd recommend doing is making them a certain size first. So making the Twitter one first, since I'm going to be using it first, and then going onto your YouTube. You're going to want to match the same exact size as your Twitter one, just like this. Center it, and then put it below it. So hitting Control V for your arrow, of course making it a little bit smaller, so that these are perfectly matched up. And then you want to go to one of the texts that you want to use. For example, I'm going to be using the white text, or the white text kind of style for the icon, and the gold text for my actual text here. So if I'm going to be doing Twitter first, all I want to do is label this, let's just say Twitter. Go to right click, blending options, go to color overlay, keep that white, make a new layer, hitting Control E on both to merge them, and then hitting Control J on those 3 layers again, and basically just dragging all 3 back onto it. So now that you have that onto the Twitter logo, go to right click, blending options, add a drop shadow, add an inner shadow. So you can see that it's basically repetitive of what we're doing for that. And now that we have that, we can just basically take this tagline here, duplicate it. I recommend taking the bottom one and bringing it to the top, and labeling, or just maybe grouping this and labeling this Twitter text. Putting that right there. And of course you want to make the text just a little bit smaller than the icon, so not everything's overwhelming. And then of course, now we can take this, you can take the Twitter icon if you want. If we're labeling the Twitter icon, we're gonna be able to find it again. Of course I lost it. Here it is. Hitting Control. I'm gonna keep grouping things just because it's a lot easier for me to keep control of where they are. So now that we have that, all I want to do is basically drag this to the side, and we're going to be measuring all this kind of stuff later. And you want to do the same thing to the YouTube one, and it's going to be just a little bit easier. So all we have to do is duplicate that tagline text, put it right on that icon, just like this. And now with the label, it's just YouTube text, just so we know which one's which. And then of course going right click, blending options, color overlay, and doing the same process that we did for the Twitter one to the YouTube. So it's really just very repetitive, and it's very easy once you get the hang of it the first time. So I'm going to be doing this very quickly because I don't want to take up the whole tutorial, just explaining it to you guys that this is what you do. So talking more about my Discord chat, so the reason I made this is because I want to kind of involve more designers together, and I thought that a lot of people use Discord, so that it would be very helpful in a way that people could get, you know, opinions from other people that are just starting, and you guys can work together and do different things. So if you guys want to join that, the link is in the description as well. I really recommend doing it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be in the chat to talk a lot, so definitely something you guys want to join up. So now we have that, just take YouTube and then just bring it over to the tagline, make sure that the size is correctly, and then bring it over to the right hand side. You can duplicate this and just label this YouTube, duplicate that, label this Twitter, And of course, doing the same thing, is going to right click blending. Excuse me, right click blending options, and then just adding a drop shadow. Same thing for Twitter. Now that we got that, we're gonna want to size them. So just take your rectangle and just make a rectangle from the end of the Y to the E, and then take the same rectangle and bring it to the end of the E, and then just take the YouTube group and then bring it to the edge of the rectangle. So now both of these are sized perfectly from each other. Very easy to change as well. And now that we have that, we can basically start working with different peripherals around everything. So what I recommend getting a pack is using it for basically 1 or 2 textures, and this is going to be particles. So just taking those particles and just adding them around and just taking your eraser, maybe erasing a few, really helps just kind of create this more heroic theme throughout the piece. So just like that. And then of course, now that we have that, we can start adding a little bit more textures onto it. So this is when you want to go back to Google and type in Grunge Texture. And if you guys have never actually used those textures and those packs that you get, this is basically what you use them for. So now that you have that, click this little tab right here, click on normal, and hit right on your keyboard a bunch of times until you find one that kind of suits the style you want to go for. Maybe something like this. However, I'm going to want to just erase a little bit more around them just so the splatters aren't as, you know, in your face. You can go through here, you can find dark grunges like this, and basically do the same thing. Just paste them in, make them the same size, click on normal, and just hit right on your keyboard a bunch of times until you find just one that you think will work. Zoom out and just erase, just scribble around the eraser on it, and then you can lower the opacity, and then you're basically going to be good. So now that you have that, you're just going to group all those. You can label this on textures / stocks, and then you're going to want to start adding just a little bit more. I'm going to add just a couple more things. I'm going to right click, or excuse me, I'm going to make a new layer under the shadows and hit B on my keyboard. Make the size the same as the eye on the guy, and this is the kind of like extra stuff that you want to do on your pieces. So everything's going to be yellow, excluding the text is going to be kind of having the yellow dominant color. So I'm going to make the eyes yellow, so I'm going to be clicking on both of them. Go to normal, I'm going to hit right on my keyboard until I think that they have a nice glow to them, so I can zoom out. And I think color burn is usually good. I can lower the opacity just a little bit to kind of keep that flow to it. So now that we have this done, let's just say that you want to start, you know, finalizing everything you made. So double click on the background layer and then hold shift and click on the top layer, whether it be a group or an actual layer. Hit Control G to group everything and just label this final, and then hit Control J again to duplicate the group, and hit Control E and hit Control J. So what you want to do is just merge them and duplicate them a bunch of times, and then go to, you know, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and put it on like a 1.3 to 1.5. Erase the text first, and you know, erase like the front things, and just kind of like have a little bit of the background blurred, a little bit of the helmet blurred, just so that you have more things going on. And just merge them and then duplicate them again. You can add a little bit of noise and just erase around everything just like this. Duplicate them again, and just basically go through these, whether you want to put, you know, more clouds on them, you want to put more blurs, distorts. And then once you have it finalized, make another new layer, grab your gradient tool right here, which would be on the paint bucket tool. If you just hold down and click, it'll be the gradient tool. Click on this top left arrow, click the transparent to the color version, and then make sure that the first color right up here is black. Grab the circular one up here, the radial, and then you want to just take from the middle to the corners, and then go to overlay. And grab an eraser and bring the size up to like almost 400, and then you want to just do the little scribbles that I've been talking about. And then you can zoom back in, duplicate it if you want, if not you don't have to now, and then go to right here to these half circles, and then this is when you can start going to like exposure, and you can bring up the exposure just a little bit and the gamma correction down a little bit. You can go to brightness and contrast. You can grab the contrast. And this is basically going to be it. There's little final extra things that you guys can do. If you want, you guys can open up Magic Bullet Looks and do that. But this is typically where you want to stop. You don't want to go any further than this. But this is going to be the end of the tutorial. All I want to do now is basically have this group saved. Go to File, Export, Save it for Web Legacy, Save as, go to like this PC or your desktop or wherever you want to save it, and then you're basically good to use it wherever. So this template is going to be up for purchase and up for download like I've been saying. 100 likes equals the download link, or you guys can purchase it in my sell file link. And of course you guys can join the Discord where I'll be dropping the download link for it every now and then. Just don't join and just ask for it over and over again. I'll probably have to just remove you. The chat's basically made for designers to have fun and, you know, basically hang out with each other and learn things from each other. So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys did enjoy the video, let me know in the comments section below. And if you guys have any, you know, questions, comments, or concerns, or any video ideas, I'm all ears for that. But like I said, guys, if you guys need me, my Twitter is in the description below, as well as my email. And it's been Garrett. Peace out.